Celtic's 1st January exit is all but confirmed, and it's a loan deal that never should have happened in the first place. We've got updates on why Celtic dodged a bullet with a former transfer target who's now gone AWOL in Mexico, former Celtic striker Giorgos Giakoumakis' latest transfer collapse, and only one boy makes it into the SPFL's best 11 at the halfway point. It's been an interesting start to 2026, but first make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Celtic's season hasn't exactly been one to write home about, so there's probably no surprise to see that only one of their players features in the Scottish Premiership's best 11 at the halfway point. 19 games have been played and the Hoops are second in the table after a disastrous run of form that's seen Wilfried Nancy lose 5 of his 7 games in charge. It's hard to pick out any real standout player in the side, but the Scotsman has included one player in their team that's largely made up of players from table-toppers' hearts. Most years you'd see 4 or 5 Celtic players feature in the 11, but only one did enough to be included, and that was Benjamin Nygren. The Sweden international has been inconsistent at times, but he's the top scorer with 8 goals and also has 2 assists to his name. There's certainly more to come, but when justifying their decision, the Scotsman said you simply cannot argue with the Swede's stats. While he can drift in and out of games, 10 goal contributions, that's 8 goals and 2 assists, point to one of the league's most potent players in the final third. A summer steal for Celtic at £1.7 million from Nordsjælland, he's been one of the few success stories the club have had in the transfer market of late. Nancy revealed that he wanted to sign Nygren at Columbus Crew, and it's clear to see why. Under his stewardship, the 24-year-old has looked like one of the few players who's benefited from the system change and is going to get better. Did anyone else deserve to be in the best 11? That's the question supporters are asking. Now for the main story, as Jaume Simpson-Pusey is set to become Celtic's first official exit of the January transfer window, ending a quiet and puzzling loan spell. The Manchester City defender arrived in August as a development project with upside. Instead, he leaves having barely featured and never looking close to the first team. Ending the loan early is no surprise. The bigger story is how consistently he was overlooked. Simpson-Pusey was not fancied by one manager, not 2, but 3. Brendan Rodgers sanctioned the move, yet never used him. Even with a packed schedule and early season defensive issues, the young defender stayed on the fringes. Rotation never came his way. After Rodgers left and Martin O'Neill took interim charge, a small opening appeared. Simpson-Pusey started at right back against Kilmarnock in November, came off after 64 minutes, and did not feature again during O'Neill's short spell. That was his chance. It proved to be the only one. Since Wilfried Nancy's appointment, he's again been out of the picture. Despite Celtic's defensive instability and constant tinkering across the back line, the City loanee hasn't been used or viewed as a short-term solution. In total, he played twice for the Hoops, once in the Premiership and once in the League Cup. For a player brought in to gain senior experience, that return is damning, which is why the deal feels so baffling. Celtic took a development loan when the squad needed players ready to contribute. He arrived without a clear pathway, without a defined role, and without visible buy-in from successive managers. The outcome was predictable. Simpson-Pusey's impending departure sums up a poor summer window. Recruitment lacked coherence, short-term needs went unmet, and too many moves felt reactive rather than planned. This loan was emblematic of that drift. January opens with an exit that raises more questions than it answers. Celtic will move on. Simpson-Pusey returns to Manchester City to seek minutes elsewhere. The bigger concern is simple. This should never have happened. In other news, Giorgos Giakoumakis appears to be on the move again, almost 3 years after leaving Celtic. The big Greek striker was popular amongst many Celtic supporters during his short 18-month stay at the club. Giakoumakis has been tipped for another transfer move as Atletico Mineiro targeted the former Celtic striker in the January transfer window. Officially a Cruz Azul player, Giakoumakis is currently on loan at Greg Taylor's PAOK as the 31-year-old looks to recapture his goal-scoring form at Celtic. But it appears that the Mexican club are willing to sell him this January, but a move to Brazil has collapsed after Giakoumakis' latest demands. Oteo said on X, Atletico Mineiro offered up to $7.5 million. Cruz Azul was willing to sell him. The deal did not go through because Giorgos was seeking a contract even higher than the one he had at Cruz Azul. Giakoumakis is currently remaining at PAOK on loan. Giakoumakis will go back to his homeland for now to rejoin former Celtic defender Greg Taylor at PAOK. At Celtic, Giakoumakis was a cult hero despite being the second-choice striker behind Kyogo Furuhashi. Should Celtic take a look, or is what Giakoumakis is demanding too much to guarantee? That's the debate happening among supporters right now. In other news, when Celtic pulled out of their pursuit of Mateusz Bogusz, many may well have questioned the validity of that decision. At that time, Brendan Rodgers was looking to strengthen Celtic's front line, and Bogusz was identified as a player who could do just that. It was reported that Celtic were willing to spend £8 million on Bogusz, as Rodgers appeared to be impressed with his goal-scoring record at MLS club LAFC. After Celtic opted for Arne Engels instead, Bogusz decided to move to Mexico and join Cruz Azul in a deal worth around €9 million. But just over 15 months later, the Polish forward's antics at Cruz Azul have proven that Celtic made the right choice to avoid signing the former transfer target. Celtic's transfer stance on Mateusz Bogusz is vindicated as the striker goes AWOL at Cruz Azul as he tries to force a January transfer. For the third day in a row, Bogusz didn't appear at La Noria training ground. Cruz Azul had morning training, and right now they're doing their afternoon session, and he didn't show up to either. Some photos and stories indicate that he's in Poland. Bogusz has been at Cruz Azul since the summer of 2024 and has struggled of late to make their starting 11. It's clear Bogusz is having a tough time in Mexico, but it's clear that he's trying to force his next move, and that is the type of player Celtic certainly don't need now, or back when Rodgers was at Celtic. Completely strange behaviour from a player who could have been wearing the hoops. Lastly, as Celtic search for a striker, we've got more updates on Giorgos Giakoumakis and his latest transfer situation. The big Greek striker was popular amongst many Celtic supporters during his short 18-month stay at the club. Giakoumakis has been tipped for another transfer move as Atletico Mineiro targeted the former Celtic striker in the January transfer window. Officially a Cruz Azul player, Giakoumakis is currently on loan at Greg Taylor's PAOK, as the 31-year-old looks to recapture his goal-scoring form from his time at Celtic. But it appears that the Mexican club are willing to sell him this January, but a move to Brazil has collapsed after Giakoumakis' latest demands. Atletico Mineiro offered up to $7.5 million. Cruz Azul was willing to sell him. The deal did not go through because Giorgos was seeking a contract even higher than the one he had at Cruz Azul. Giakoumakis is currently remaining at PAOK on loan. Giakoumakis will go back to his homeland for now to rejoin former Celtic defender Greg Taylor at PAOK. At Celtic, Giakoumakis was a cult hero despite being the second-choice striker behind Kyogo Furuhashi. The question remains, should Celtic take a look at bringing him back, or is what Giakoumakis is demanding too much to guarantee? That's all for today's Celtic news. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. We'll see you in the next one. Hail, hail.